So it just occurred to me, does Jar Jar still have a life debt to Qui-Gon? Like, should he be trying to protect someone else's life at this point? Because he can't with Qui-Gon? I don't really care, it just occurred to me. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Zareth Prevails. We've got the next farm, this next episode in. This is something I do monthly because CG puts out a lot of content, and there's actually a ton to talk about. So I put it out maybe 1 week earlier than I would normally put out, but because of the road ahead, there's just a ton to discuss, tons to plan. So first, let's say thank you so much to my patrons. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for all of your support, guys. And if you want to support this channel for free, folks, all you gotta do is hit that thumbs up button, subscribe, comment, help me out the algorithm, please. It helps immensely. Thank you guys so much for all of your support through the years. At this point, it's crazy how long I've been doing this. But let's jump into the new factors. Why do we need to make this video again after we made it at some point last month? Now, last month, it's kind of funny. I did predict a ton of the stuff that was in the road ahead, and I'm only trying to be a little bit gloaty here, folks. I think that it's exciting. I think I even have a couple slides here that'll show, like, from my, I'll be like, hey, look, this was the old one. This is what I predicted. And that being said, we don't need to dwell on the past. There's the road ahead that came out. Naboo is coming up, and there's the new raid, and there's a new legendary character, which is a contentious thing, to say the least. There's just a lot of new stuff coming out here, folks. People are upset and thinking that there is not going to be a galactic, well, a ship, galactic legend, legendary level ship coming out because it's not announced in the road ahead. Lots to discuss here, folks. So what are we focusing on here? What's the goal of this video? The idea is we want to stay relevant. We want to keep on working on characters that are going to have the most payout long term. So like if I told you guys, hey, go work on, I don't know, a while ago, before Phoenix were redone, if I told you to work on Phoenix, that would have very limited value, right? But you know, there's a lot of farms that are like, well, maybe just avoid that. But these ones look like they're going to be long-term, and they're going to be relevant, so hopefully they pay out well. The idea is to just get as much loot as possible. This is a management resource game, and I know that everyone gets stuck on, well, I'm a PvP versus I'm a PvE player, and I get the, you know, identity thing. Like, people want to say, like, this is what I focus on and I don't want to work on anything else. I'll just say that in general, you're going to succeed at this game the most if you pay attention to the most game modes. And honestly, though, there's a lot of game modes that you can kind of ignore, and I'll cover this a lot in all my other videos like this, so we're probably going to skip a lot of this. But just realize, you want to get crystals from Fleet Arena, you want to get the current raid stuff, because that's going to boost your account by far the most, and things like GAC, territory wars, like a lot of the PvP stuff are things that you're just going to naturally improve on as you improve your roster. I mean, you got to be intentional on some level, but for the most part, you need to be more intentional about making sure you're getting crystals and stuff. So you know, Fleet Arena is the thing that gets you the most crystals. You get 400 crystals a day if you have the right fleet, and there's a lot of fleets that'll get you there if you're paying attention. That is an enormous number of crystals, and it's led to a lot of speculation that eventually those crystals are going to just disappear, and they're going to reallocate them so that we can get them somewhere else. I guess we'll see, but I think there'd be a riot, frankly. I hope they don't. So, otherwise, the current raid, you need to be working on the current raid, because every time they switch it, every time they flip-flop it, that means you're no longer equipped to deal with the, you know, to get the best stuff for the raid is where you get the majority of your gear, honestly, well, at least a lot of it. So, you know, Conquest is important, but you don't have to worry about that as long as you have some Galactic Legends. You know, the right characters and stuff. Rise of the Empire territory battle is good to work on. So Fleet Arena, the thing you really want to be working on here, guys. Kind of reconstructed this page here just to show. All right, the number one fleet right now is the Leviathan, and it's not available to everyone. You can't if you can't farm the Malgus and his ship right now, then you can't get Leviathan. I'm sorry to say, that really sucks. And, that's just how it works. You could be working on characters and teams to be able to farm the Fury Interceptor and Darth Malgus, but you can't actually farm them. The Profundity can beat both, or can beat all the fleets. Executor can beat all the fleets, so work on those two for sure. And then, just other important ships, just the Conquest ships, obviously, because of the Leviathan unlock, but then the Scythe is really important, the TIE Interceptor is really important to be able to counter some of these really good fleets. TIE Defender is one of the strongest ships right now, and that's just straight up farmable. So one thing I wanted to touch on here, guys. People talked about in the February Road Ahead, they didn't discuss or announce a new fleet, and I understand the desire to kind of panic or whatever. That's a frustrating thing. People really, they're looking to plan ahead, and it's not there. So it's led to a ton of people questioning, we're not going to get a new fleet this year, right? Like, obviously not, because the February Road Ahead didn't say it. And all I can really say, folks, is we don't know for sure if there will be a fleet, but I don't think they would have announced it in the February Road Ahead anyways. Last year, they announced the Leviathan to be released in April. They had an April Road Ahead, and I don't know if CG is going to do an April Road Ahead, but I do know that February is not the same as April, and I think if they were going to announce a capital ship, they would do it closer to that time frame. So April for a release in, July or June, something like that. So, stay tuned. We don't know for sure if there will be a new fleet, but if there is, it'll be announced later in the year, almost certainly, because if they follow the same cadence they have been, they'll release one Galactic Legend level ship every year. So, and it's not time for it yet. Just not time for it. Now, Conquest, this is just a placeholder slide, honestly, guys. Nothing's changed. Eventually, I'm guessing we're going to have some kind of, advanced level, top level endgame account difficulty. Like right now we have easy, normal, and hard, and I'm guessing eventually we're gonna have an expert or a mythic level tier, but I hope that's not gonna be anytime too soon. I'm guessing that'll be soon, or eventually, but yeah, for right now, it's pretty consistent. Now, which is more important, Rise of the Empire versus the Raid? We're not going to cover this in great detail, but essentially, Rise of the Empire has static teams that don't change. You can work on them long-term, slow roll, just get those characters up over time, kind of just naturally or organically. The Raid, you have to have a certain level of intentionality because it changes every 8 to 9 months, and it's going to require completely different characters every single time, and you're going to need relics on them, and you're going to have your whole guild organized, and it's just this whole thing. Swapping out raids every 9 months makes you work on a lot of different characters and teams, and so the raid has a lot more urgency long term, whereas Rise of the Empire, you can just work on it when you can, basically. So the current raid is the Endor raid. It arrived in November. The Naboo raid was announced in the new announcement, and that'll be released. They didn't give us an exact date, sometime in July or August, almost certainly. And honestly, guys, it's starting to get to the point where we don't work on Endor raid characters anymore. Now I'll show you actually what there's kind of a countdown to being done with it, and what percentage we are done with the current raid, so we'll talk about that in a minute. But for the new raid, things that we probably need, that they've already announced, so we'll go dive into all of this a little deeper moving forward, as we discussed in this video. But Gungans are going to be the top squad. Jar Jar will be the best character, or the legendary character that helps them. Amidala Magdala will be the team that's going to be released through Conquest, and then a couple marquees or whatever. We'll probably need separatists, and probably just the droids, because that's part of the Naboo war or whatever. And then we'll probably need Galactic, Republic, Jedi to be able to kind of flesh out the factions. My guess is that there'll be those 4 factions. Maybe we'll have a 5th. Who really knows? But those are, things to be kind of becoming accustomed to the idea of getting ready on your account, wherever you are on it, just to be able to contribute and get the biggest crate, because that Mark III currency is just so crazy important, guys. So here's just kind of the countdown page of, in 8 to 9 months, a guild that's pretty on top of things, doesn't miss a lot of tickets. They're going to do somewhere between 40 to 45 total raids. As of the time of this speaking, we've had about 17 total raids, which is somewhere between 37 and 42% complete. And so you just have diminishing returns. If you work on Ewoks, and the Ewoks aren't going to be good beyond the use of this raid, like a lot of times Ewoks are like, well, they're fine, but they're not necessarily worth it unless you invest heavy relics in them. And even then, you could probably find a little bit better bang for your buck. Like, we're getting to the point where you don't want to work on those kind of characters. You can work on characters that are going to have good long-term effects, and I have a ton of videos talking about the raid characters and stuff you should be working on. Instead, we're going to be looking more at what are we going to do to prep for this new raid. So I put a set of projections here, just loosely based on what CG has done in the past and kind of what they've said. So the raid's going to start in July or August, of course. Boss Nass has already been released, and so he was released on February 2nd. That means that somewhere around April 24th-ish, he'll be farmable. Now, if you wanted to buy the gamble packs and all of that, if you buy 2 gamble packs, it tends to be, if you're going to be buying refreshes for Gungans or for whatever character, the way they've structured these events is, and I'm not going to show you the math, I'm sorry to say, you'll have to trust me. You can find a video about it, breaking it down somewhere else, but one way or another, you want to buy 2 gamble packs, which will then get you to 4 stars on the next Gungan, for the next event, and then you have a week to be farming that character. That ends up being long-term better use of your crystals to be able to, like, long-term farm these creatures for, quickly, I guess, once they're actually released to be farmable. So, anyways, Boss Nass, it seems like if you're gonna just buy 1 refresh per day, every day, it takes about 3 months to get a character, so you could be done on July 24th-ish, and that's if you don't buy the gamble packs, of course. And then, we'll get 3 other Gungans, and presumably they're going to be released on a every 2-week basis, so we'll probably hear something about that this coming week for the next character, whether it's Captain Tarples or one of the unnamed peasant Gungans. And one way or another, it'll stretch all the way till April 4th around. Like, that's just my projection. Who really knows exactly what's going to happen there? But one way or another, if you're just going off of just the 1 refresh per day for Gungans, you'll have them all completed on September 4th, which, of course, will mean you won't be able to unlock Jar Jar until then, and, you'll have to put gear on him, and then you can use him in the raid. One thing I will say, folks, I'm pretty sure that we're going to have Jar Jar as a permanent character in the Journey Guide. I don't think they're going to have a release cadence where he disappears after like a week or something like that, like the Bo-Katan or the Jedi Cal events. I think that we're going to have them. I think they're going to have the Jar Jar event permanently there, because otherwise, why incentivize people? Like, you can't incentivize people to work on a character that might not even be around for the raid. It's like, hey, I want to get ready for the raid. let's farm this team. Oh, when's the important character for that team going to be out again? Well, we have no idea. CG might do it in 6 months. They might do it in 2 months. They might do it tomorrow. Who knows? CG's very, very inconsistent, and they've made it so that people can't really predict or care when the next event is going to be, and so for a raid thing that's going to have a limited window of relevance, they're going to need to have this team available to farm and have people be able to wail on it if they really want to at all times. So I think we're going to see Jar Jar in the permanent journey guide. We'll see. But one way or another, yeah, you probably want to buy those gamble packs if you can afford it. I'll be doing it with 2 of my accounts at least. Okay, so Rise of the Empire. Let's see. This is one. I made this slide last time. You see, Bo-Katan's questioning my planet next. Just the Rise of the Empire is the best way to kill your Chirotech crunch, because you get a bunch of GET 2 and 3, which you can then spend on Chirotech. And you can do the best way to do it, honestly, is to be working on Jedi Cal to be able to unlock the Zepho node within Rise of the Empire. But we also have Bo-Katan and her Mandalorians helping to unlock Mandalore that was announced in the new Road Ahead as well. So we'll be talking about those characters. We have this slide. We could just skip it, honestly. So for new releases, what are we going to be working on? So just looking at Bo-Katan, Mandalore, and her requirements. Right now, that team doesn't seem... I mean, it's got a great Datacron, but it's only going to be around for a couple more months. I don't know that that's the reason to be farming that team, to be honest. If you love Datacrons and PvP, that might be a really great incentive. But beyond that, you're probably not going to care about the team that much unless you're working on the Rise of the Empire node, trying to unlock the new planet, which is probably, I think it's going to be a new character unlock, like a Darkside Mandalorian character is what I am speculating. I don't know for sure, but that's what I would guess if I had to. And otherwise, those characters, if you're not going to work on Rise of the Empire that much, if you're not going to work on, if you don't care about the PvP impact, like that team is pretty luxury, to be honest. Kelleran Beck being the exception. He's amazing in Territory Wars with his Omicron, and I'm guessing he's going to actually be pretty good in the new raid because he's a Galactic Republic Jedi, and he's a newer character, so they're going to incentivize you. They're going to want to say, hey, work on this character so that you, they want you to work on the new characters. They've been very obvious about that, and sometimes even explicit. So, been working on that. I would say, in general, this is a pretty important farm for late game accounts. For mid game and early game, probably just kind of take a step back a little bit. Comeuppance, pretty forgettable ship, guys. I don't even think it's going to be a requirement. I mean, obviously I can't swear to that, but I'm guessing that's probably the lowest urgency on this list. Stap, I'm guessing this is going to be part of the requirements for the team that you use on Naboo to fight with, like, I'm guessing you're going to use Separatist droids, and it's going to be an integral, important part of the raid. So probably want to farm it, but you can probably otherwise GAC Omicron looks pretty good. But if you're not going to do that, if you're not planning on working on that team or whatever, because that doesn't seem like it's going to move the needle too much. I mean, I'm willing to be proven wrong. I hope that it's a really good team, but I hope that, like, you can probably farm Stap and just not put gear on him until you find out how good and relevant that team is. It seems good, though. And then the Gungan seems like it's a pretty high urgency priority. We're going to get a legendary character. We're going to get all these different... we're going to get a whole new team. It's going to be good for the raid. I'm guessing it'll have a lot of uses in a lot of different corners of the game as well, including Conquest and Territory Wars, GAC, etc. So stay tuned on that, but I think has a decent level of priority. Inquisition, let's just not go over this again. They're an amazing team. They're one of the best teams to be working on. Honestly, for anyone, everyone's goal should be, at some point, get those Inquisitions unlocked, because, or Inquisitors unlocked, because they affect the game on so many different levels. The Imperial Remnants, definitely a worthwhile team right now. They seem almost overpowered. In Territory Wars, they're really strong. In GAC, they're a little less overpowered, except they have a Datacron, which makes them overpowered. They're very strong. And I'm guessing, yeah, so I kept the same slide, and you can see, I was like, oh, maybe we'll use them if/when we unlock Mandalore. And CG did announce that we're going to be using this team, or at least part of it, to help us unlock Mandalore as well. Just characters that are kind of just established as not being relevant or necessary for a lot of different things, unfortunately. So you can read that. Speculation. This is actually just the one that I made last month. I don't think it's going to be that helpful to speculate too much about the new stuff right now, other than the stuff that I'm talking about. So, I mean, I was pretty spot on here about a lot of this stuff. Gungan faction, Naboo faction. I mean, we don't know if we're going to get the faction, but we're going to get Queen Amidala. At the very least, we're going to get a Naboo raid. Hopefully we get some of these ships. That would be pretty cool, especially the Naboo fighter and the Padme shiny ship, whatever the hell that's called. The Nubian. And then, finally, folks, you can, as far as individual characters, there's a lot of good characters out there to work on. I put out a monthly video as well on 5 tunes everyone should be working on. The last 2 months, you guys can go look at that, or you can just, I'll put the links in the video description on 5 characters that everyone should be working on. You know, and I'll be putting that one out in a week or 2. I don't remember. I think next week is probably going to be, for my Monday video, probably going to be like it's probably going to be a Datacron ranking video, because Omicron, ranking video, because it's been a while since we've updated that. But otherwise, guys, you know, working on your fleets, very important in this game. Working on your raid and territory battle stuff. That's not only going to help your guild, but it's going to help you if you're not in a good guild. It's going to help you ditch the losers in your old guild and find a new awesome guild that has their stuff together. So working on that. Apparently I put Inquisition as number 3, most urgent. We'll get a lot of comments there saying, really? That's the most urgent? I don't know if that is the most urgent, but that's apparently what that slide says, and it's too late to change it, so it's gonna be, yeah, I mean, they are very important. They're really good. I don't know if they're that level of priority, but it'll be fun to see what people have to say. So what characters did I miss, guys? What characters do you think we should all be working on? What's the best? There's a ton of stuff going on in this game right now, and we need to be focused on kind of the newer stuff. I mean, more than ever, CG has really put the pedal to the metal and wants us to work on new stuff. So the good news is they're gonna probably give us good rewards for it, so yay for us. Alright, guys, we're gonna let you go. Thank you all so much for watching, and remember that in all things, Xaereth prevails.